Everyone ready on the set? Lights? Are we good? The lights are good? Cameraman, are you ready? Alright, get this microphone going. Okay. Okay guys, welcome back. Today's a new day. Just a quick recap on our rebuild of the 1973 Honda SL125. We're cleaning out the gas tank. This has been soaking with the acid in it. And I think what I'd like to do is see how it looks. So, let's just out. So, not too bad. Get a look in the. It did a pretty nice job. Kind of hard to see, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flush this out with some water. Get as much of the acid out as I can. Not bad. Not bad. I was kind of expecting a bunch of rust or sediment or dirt or something. Okay. You gotta be really careful when you're using acid because it's splashing at your eyes. So if you're not wearing glasses, definitely a good idea to be wearing safety glasses. And gloves too, you want to protect your skin if you're going to be in contact with the acid. I'm very pleased with how this came out. There isn't any big chunks of any debris or sediment. This tank, that came out really good. Really happy with that. And we're going to be running a fuel filter, which will also keep any fine sediment or debris. Okay, so 1 inches here. One down, 0.5 millimeter. 3 millimeter. Interesting. Okay. Let's try. One-eighth. Okay, the next one down is 7/64. It's tricky. Big. That is not a cap screw. Feels like one. Alright, I think I'm mistaken here. I'm going to grab a pick. Hold it over right now. Here we go. Okay, that definitely is just the casting, so my mistake. Okay, there is one large Phillips head down in there. We're going to get this guy right on. Oh boy, it's on there good. Maybe a little tap of the hammer. That does not want to come off at all. Try a slightly larger Phillips. Boy, is that tight. this is gonna give us a little bit of grief here. And probably too deep to get these pliers in there. I'm gonna try. Okay, so my impact doesn't go that small. I have one of these, it is actually too big, but the way this works is when you hammer it down, it twists with the force when this acts here with the hammer, and it helps loosen stubborn bolts. But I'm going to try another trick I have is I'm going to put some vice grips on my screwdriver itself. That will give me a little more leverage. Try and on there. And of course I'm trying not to damage the tank either at the same time. And it's not budging at all. So the other option is I could cut it off. I could try putting some heat to it. We had filled the tank with water. There's no fumes or anything that can ignite. If I cut it off, the other good thing I can do is I'll be able to get vice grips on that screw. Another thing we could do is we could drill it out and use an E out, but then we'll be compromising some of the threads we got here. So, oh, decisions. New one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grind it off. I'm going to cut the area around this, and this petcock is basically shot, it's all rusted, and like I said, we got a brand new one, so I'm gonna go with that. Okay guys, so unfortunately I lost all of my audio from this part of the video forward, so I'm gonna do my best to do the voiceover and get things going. So you can see here I was able to cut off the old petcock. Very happy with how it came out. You know, the cost of a new one was relatively inexpensive, so I'm just glad that, you know, I was able to cut it off and not have any further issues. So you could rebuild the old one if you were able to get it off. I didn't try too hard to get the old one off in one piece, but they do sell kits. You can rebuild the petcock, and you know, if I was doing a full off real restore of this bike, I would have definitely you know, taken some time to do it and rebuild it. But it would have been very time consuming, and it's not fun to clean out all the gunk out of all those little passages and trying to get it to not leak once you get it back together. But I was able to salvage the screw and get it out. And so we're going to run to the hardware store to get a new bolt, or it's a screw actually. And that is what we're going to do to put in the new petcock. So we can't really go any further with the tank at this point. All right, so we're gonna take the new, not new, we're gonna take our old carburetor now and we're gonna get going on getting that apart and getting that open. See how difficult that is. Here, just before that, we did find some gasket material so we can make those gaskets for the intake from the last video that are missing. I did find some online. They're about $4 a piece. I need 3 of them, so wouldn't be too bad. We might do a time lapse and make them. It's a good thing to know how to do in a pinch if you can't wait to get a new gasket. So in just a moment here, we're gonna get over and zoom right in on that carburetor. It was quite stinky. Had a lot of old varnished up gas in it. And I see we did run out of carburetor cleaner, so we're gonna also have to get that when we get the new screw. Really sorry we lost the audio. That it kind of sucks trying to recreate it and doing the voiceover, but I'll do the best I can to walk you guys through the rest of what I did here. All right. So just clean up the pan quick. I saved these old pans from an oven. They work really well to catch any of the fluids without getting all over the nice bike stand there. So I pulled the old fuel line off. That's just garbage. We'll replace that. So the bottom of the carburetor needs to come apart. The way that happens is there's a clip that slides that holds the bowl to the body of the carburetor. I think this is the point where I was looking for the carburetor cleaner. I was out. But we're going to use some brake parts cleaner. No big deal. We'll get some carburetor cleaner so we can soak some of the parts because it's obviously all varnished up and been sitting for a really long time. Okay, so this, I'm showing the actuation of the choke. Pretty neat. Basically just covers the intake there and allows fuel to get sucked up through in there. And here I am popping the bottom of the carburetor off. That bowl there, I'm gonna hit it with a dead blow hammer. You want to be really careful with these castings because it doesn't take much for an old casting to crack or to break. I'm just gonna give it a bunch of gentle taps all the way around. And this way, we'll take it off. Try and salvage that little gasket inside there. And there, right there's the float. So as you can see, it's very varnished up. I've seen a lot worse. And I'm pointing at the 2 jets there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull the pin out that holds the float in place. Now this is kind of tricky. Obviously it was very varnished up and stuck in there. I'm trying to push it out now with needle nose pliers. You got to be really careful with this because the castings right there, you can snap those off very easily and then your carburetor's basically junk. So I'm very carefully trying to use the needle nose pliers, and it's obviously giving me some trouble. So other ways you can do it to push that pin out is to use a roll pin, and you can press it out or hammer it out, but again, you really have to be super careful that you don't break those off. Another thing on the inside of the carburetors is whatever tools you're using, you want to make sure that you're not using things that can mar or scratch or dent or ruin the internal components of the carburetor. So in this case, what I did do, because it actually wasn't soaking any solvent to clean it, what I did is I grabbed a pair of needle nose vice grips and I grabbed the end of the pin that goes through the float. And very carefully, I pulled that pin out. Now I did ding up the end of that pin. I knew I was going to do that. But in order to get it apart, that's what I had to do. Right there you just saw, I got the WD-40 out. I wanted to spray the inside of the tank just to coat it with something because I had the water in it. Fortunately, that can ran out, so we're going to have to get on our shopping trip. We're going to grab some more WD-40. Always good to have a can in the shop. Okay. Can you put a little bit of WD on there? I'm trying again with these needle nose pliers, and I tell you that pin was stuck in there. Who knows the last time this carburetor's been apart? It's, could have been an easy 30 years or more. It's hard to say. It may never have been apart. This may have been the first time that it's ever been disassembled. So here I am with the needle nose. Again, being very careful that I don't mar or dent those floats. Those floats are very fragile. The pin moved right away, so that was good. It was just getting it out of its final spot. Slowly and surely it's coming out. Give it another squirt of brake parts cleaner to try and loosen that up a little bit. Sometimes I soak the carburetors for a couple days or a week. You can use, there's a lot of different products out. Sometimes, you can buy the carburetor kits where you can actually soak it in a can. There's a lot of solvents out there that will clean up this varnish. Sometimes I've used in the past a little homemade solution of white vinegar and some dish soap in some warm water and just let it soak. Actually, you can soak it for a week. It does a pretty good job. It really depends on how bad and corroded or varnished up things are. So I got the pin out and I have the floats, and again, I'm being very, very careful of them because they are very easy to bend if you're not careful. The next things that need to come out is the needle And I'll take the needle out. And that came right out. It wasn't stuck at all. Just filling up the bowl here. Let that soak a little bit of that brake parts cleaner. It'll work like a solvent. Start getting that cleaned up. It wasn't too bad. I really expected it to be a lot worse, so pretty happy with how things look. Okay, so here's our needle. Looks pretty good. Not bad at all. Some needles on some models have a rubber tip. So you want to make sure that the rubber tip is sharp and it's not dry rotted. The seat on some other carburetors also have an O-ring in the bottom, or some kind of a rubberized sealing surface that the needle would shut off on. And this is actually, the seat in this carburetor is all brass, so the needle the needle will close off perfectly on the bottom of the seat. And the seat is all machined one piece, so there's no gasket or O-ring or any kind of sealing surface there. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling out one of the jets. And I was able to get a small 10mm socket on that. So that worked out really well. These aren't supposed to be very tight, so it was good that they weren't so corroded that I wasn't able to unscrew them. So they unscrewed very easily. I'm just taking that off. And you can see, I could see through. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the seat. So I could see through the seat pretty clean. Really surprised at how clean it was in there. And there's a little washer on that I need to make sure that I don't lose that. I just grabbed a pan and I'm wiping out to put some of these parts, keep things organized. I don't want to leave this apart for too long. Just getting organized, getting the components set out. All right, now we got the jets to come out. So I'm going to grab a socket, pull that guy out. Actually, no, that was an 8mm combination wrench I got on there. That also wasn't too tight. It came off pretty easily, so really happy. Some of these carburetors, they've just been sitting so long and they're so corroded and varnished up that almost everything you touch is just a huge chore to get apart. So I was really happy that these unscrewed. Now that jet, I could see through it, but there's the holes in the sides that were almost completely plugged. So these jets are definitely going to have to soak. And I'm also going to have to find some really small pieces of wire to run through those holes to make sure that there isn't any fine debris or any varnish from the old gas stuck. The bike will, if it will run with plug jets, it won't run well, that's for sure. So you definitely need to get everything super clean. This last jet, I was using a flat blade. Again, you have to be very careful because you can break these jets if you use the wrong screwdriver or you're too rough with it. And that one came out. That one I couldn't even see through. That one was completely clogged all the way through and the sides. So even if we tried to run this bike, like we just got it to spark, just throwing some fuel in the gas tank wouldn't have done anything because the petcock was completely clogged. So we wouldn't have even gotten any fuel into the carburetor. If we did get fuel into the carburetor, those jets were clogged, so we wouldn't have gotten anywhere. It wouldn't even have coughed over. So we're getting really close to getting this thing to fire up. It's hard not to get excited and think we're gonna get it started, and just the excitement of seeing something that's been sitting for so long. This bike's been sitting for 8 years at my place, and it sat for, who knows, 20 something years or longer at the farm out in the barn that I found this. So there are a few more things that this bike needs before we can get it started. I think I'm going to at least mock some things up, like the throttle and the handlebars. Obviously, last episode, we saw the bars are really badly bent, so we're not going to use those on this bike. But at least we can get the carburetor cleaned up really well, get some fresh fuel going, get the new petcock in, and this thing will be hopefully firing up very soon. I must have had something real good to say right there. Well, guys, thanks again for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you next time.